if government can't do it, police can't do it, and if you, the only other reason is putting public in place maybe, but if we do that, then we might be, in risk of, losing our lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
See, we are commodities. Human beings now are commodities, and we are more expensive. We're worth more now than cocaine or fentanyl.
Yeah.
That's what we are, because you'll see it. You'll see, illegal trafficking. You'll see sexual exploitation. A human being, organ harvesting.
Yeah.
Is that there's all that?
Yeah.
Is that we are now a valued commodity to organised crime, and of course we can be trafficked around the world for their property. So of course, instead of getting 20 years for cocaine trafficking, you might get 2 years in jail for trafficking a human being. So they're so entrepreneurial, organised crime, they see the vacuum and immediately they move into that vacuum and they set up and they become organised. We are so slow to react.
Yeah, and Jerry's point about organ trafficking is really important as well, because it's why education is so important, because there's a case recently of a small Nepalese village where they were pretty remote. They didn't really have much in the way of internet in terms of connections, in terms of the modern world. So they had somebody from the city came into them and started telling them, they were all very poor, they were really living on the breadline, and somebody from the city came in and started telling them that if they sell them their kidneys, they can get £500 for their kidneys, and that the kidneys will grow back, so it'll be fine. It doesn't matter that they can just because they didn't know any better. You've suddenly got this entire village of Nepalese people now, all sort of yellow and very, very ill because they've only got one kidney, and they thought it was like a tree, and the kidney would just come back. And because they didn't know any better, they've been exploited. And the going rate for a human kidney can be anything from 40 grand to 100 grand. So they can make so much money, people don't care who they're exploiting.
Yeah.
So you've got the education, right? That basic level is important.
Yeah.
And I'm from Nepal.
Yeah, I was there last year for mountaineering.
You've got 2 kidneys, haven't you?
You see, the thing is as well, guys, we were talking about AI this morning. Don't forget organised crime are also using artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
So of course, romance, fraud, everything. All you are doing is you're speaking to an avatar probably. But of course is that they are then using social engineering to modify our views, and they're trying to, kidology to get me into some form of a romantic association with somebody and to give all my money. Fraud is absolutely going ballistic, and what's happened, we've lost track of it. Certainly in the UK, we have lost complete track of it, and we don't know what to do.
And AI is only going to make that fraud more effective, because rather than having to pay somebody on a computer in Romania to actually entice 5 people at once, you get ChatGPT to do it, you can have 500 people. You write an algorithm, you can do this, and the potential for exploitation from a criminal point of view, which is why Google and Apple and some of these big chip companies have tried to get an agreement to stop AI development for a year. Because I know it's a crude metaphor, but Pandora's box, and it is opening, and if we do not shut it, there's going to be the consequences. There'll be a lot of unintended consequences, and that could really reshape humanity.
Okay, so.
Yeah, I want to add another observation. We use Economics 101 to explain this the organized crime and the drugs. In the United States or developing countries, we blame developing countries for supply. Okay, so we blame them. Oh, they are supplying, they are producing. Okay. Okay. Now they, in turn, blame us, the developed countries. You guys demand. It's a friction between supply and demand.
Yeah.
The United States or Europe blames, oh, you guys are producing the stuff, let's stop the supply. They in turn say we demand the drugs, the organs, and so it's supplied, it's literally supplied.
In my area of research is waste crime at the moment. We all produce waste, refuse. Organised crime in this country has moved into the disposal of waste.
Yeah, okay, yeah, well,
Okay? And it is actually, they are setting up legitimate companies and they are being paid by the government to
Yeah.
dispose of waste.
in the States was a long time ago.
In the States with the mafia,
Waste was
yeah.
disposal
But you
waste.
see, the thing is here, they're actually then digging big holes and just dumping it into the ground. So we've got soil degradation,
Yeah.
we've got water poisoning, we've got air pollution, and it's just a recipe for disaster.
Yeah.
But we are actually legitimately paying these companies to get rid of our waste. And it is a massive, massive problem. And the Environment Agency, unfortunately, who are the organisation that are tasked with doing it, they don't have the powers, they don't have the resources. And of course what I want to try and do with the guys is try to get government to look at it and say, we'll do something about this.
Even medical waste.
Anything, anything.
I'll just give you an idea of what, some 20 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, when it suddenly realised that every household should have a cross shredder, for example. There was an organised crime group who actually themselves hired a normal waste bin, dressed up in all the recognised gear, started going around the streets, emptying people's bins. And what they were doing was they were taking the bins and the information out to a warehouse that was outside of the catchment area, unloading everything and starting to go through information, you know. So the end result was identity theft. That was your problem. And then people were wondering why the banks were getting older than their identity was being stolen. I myself, my identity was stolen some 7 years ago, and people were buying mobile phones with my name. And people were after me for debts. I said, well, look, the problem is yours. I went to the local police the police station just to report it because that's what you had to do. And suddenly they realised I was a financial investigator, and they said, well, you know more than us, you deal with it. So they gave me a crime number, and I did. So I just said, look, you know, if you want to take me to court for the recovery of money, that's absolutely fine. But you're the one that's losing money, not me. All it would do is show the shortcomings about KYC, know your customer, that you haven't even exercised. So where's your due diligence?
Guys, we're going to have to terminate, okay, but we're willing to take any questions in the lunch hour. But thank you very much for listening to us.
I mean, please get in contact with us. You know, we're sort of happy to continue online or otherwise. We have got, you know.
We'll do.
We have got any number of calls. There's an email there, csoc@cbr.uk.com, or just come up to any of the three of us and we'll be happy to try and talk about what we covered now.
And we've been doing this for sort of, I've been on the circuit for nearly 17 years now, all around the globe. And I've gone into corporate companies, I've dismantled a corporate company, rebuilt it when it comes to protocols, procedures and practices, and they're forever grateful. And that will have an impact on of course, their finances, and you know, fine. That's who we are.
Thanks very much.
Thank you.